Welcome back, Sunrisers. The Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honourable Fayval Williams, delivered the 2025-2026 opening budget presentation on Tuesday, presenting several key initiatives and fiscal strategies aimed at stimulating economic growth and ensuring fiscal sustainability. She joins us this morning in Money Masterclass as part of the government's efforts to further edify and inform Jamaicans about the budget for this fiscal year. Minister Williams, welcome to Sunrise. Welcome to Money Masterclass.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
The Money Masterclass segment, Minister, is where we do financial literacy. And I want to start there because I think and I've seen so many more Jamaicans are aiming or trying to be financially literate, one, and they are now more in tune to the budget presentation. Gone are the days when a handful of persons are watching. But now we have so many persons who are in tune. How does that feel as the Minister of Finance? What kind of mindset that puts you in to know that the ordinary Jamaicans now are in tune?
It feels good as the Minister of Finance and the Public Service to know that Jamaicans care enough to set aside time to watch what is being said about the budget, because after all, it's their money.
Our money.
Yes.
Our
that
money.
We are simply managing
My money.
on your behalf.
Your money,
yes.
all of us money.
Yes.
But another little icebreaker, Minister. You are the first female Minister of Finance. We just celebrated one of the heel of Women's celebration, Women's Day, Women's Month still. As a woman, I think it's just a big deal to have you doing your first budget presentation. Tell me how it feels to be as a woman. You're breaking the stereotypes, you're breaking things. How does that feel? And what message can it send to other females, young girls, that you can do this?
Well, I feel honored to be in this position. I always thank the Prime Minister for his faith and confidence in me. You know, for me to know that women and girls are looking on and having this sense of, I can do this. Nice. I mean, that is a great feeling to know that, you know, I'm conveying that kind of message to our women and girls.
Nice, I like that. Let's jump into it. So what were some of the key priorities that you identified, you and the team identified and prioritized this year, putting the budget forward? Right,
so we have to think growth.
Yeah.
We're coming out of a significant period of weather event, which took a big chunk out of our GDP. And so we have to recover from that and then move to the next level. So all our thinking now is around growth. How do we get more growth in the economy? And so when you see things like capital allowance, that might not mean much to, you know, individuals, but to businesses, to be able to accelerate your capital purchase for building machinery, and you know that you have, you can get that tax break from that, is significant, because that means within this 2-year period that we've allowed, we will see greater investment. You
mentioned a tax break, and I want to jump on that. Older Jamaicans like myself, we are accustomed and used to, when a budget is being presented, we're listening we're so nervous to find out what other taxes are coming. It was important for you and the government over the last few years to not introduce new taxes. This year again, I think it's the 8th consecutive one. No new tax. The 9th, sorry, thanks for the correction. The 9th year of no new taxes. How important was it for the government to come forward this year again and introduce no new taxes and let the ordinary Jamaicans know you know how important that is or was for you?
That's significant for us as a government. It speaks to our management of the financial affairs of the country and the fact that we do not want to burden our citizens with taxes. We are going down a path where we would love to see income tax done away with in Jamaica. Seriously.
Minister.
Right, I'm not saying this is going to happen next year.
Okay, you're fine.
I'm not saying this is going to happen next year, but that's a path down which we are going. That's the future that we see. If you recall, when we started in government in our first year, we said we're going to shift the taxes away from your pay
Yeah.
and move it more towards the things that you buy.
Right.
So from direct to indirect, right? So, and that we've been consistent with that.
You spoke about the taxes, and I want to jump over on that side. Then you mentioned that the income tax threshold will now be increased from 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 to 2 million. So the average person may hear it's going to $2 million. But Minister, when I did a little calculation, for the first year, and I really, it's not a lot of money. It's a small amount. Maybe I think it's 2,000 if my math is correct. If my math is mathing this morning. It's about 2,000. So really and truly, is that making an impact on the ordinary Jamaican? $2,000, 1,000 something?
So hold
Minister?
on. What I'm
Yeah,
going to say to you is, think back.
Yes.
When we started, the threshold was below $600,000,
something, yeah.
right? And it's now, we can see 2 million, right?
Yes.
The 2 million mark. So you have to look over the period of time as to what are the benefits that we brought to you in that period of time.
But will we ever, a lot of persons ask, why couldn't we just jump to the $2 million? Why did we have to, and you can explain the importance to persons who are watching this morning, why did we have to bring it in on a phased basis? One, then another one, then another one. Why couldn't we just jump straight from the 1.7 to 2 million?
Because we're not the run with it government.
You're not the one with it. Minister.
Because there's a big cost
Yes.
to it. When you give up that kind of taxes, you have to figure out where is it you're gonna find that money, because there are bills that you have to pay that are just there. We have to pay public sector workers. We still have to do roads and lay water pipes and so on.
Okay.
So it's a big give up to do it all one time. And so
Okay.
we have to be responsible about it.
Speaking of being responsible, you mentioned public sector wages. I want to jump there then. If my math is correct again, the public sector wage bill is at maybe, I think, 40% of overall revenues, about 50% of tax revenues, thereabout. And I know there were conversations in earlier times, why isn't the public sector wage bill pegged to our GDP? It was at 9% at one point. I think we didn't meet that, or it was bordering somewhere around that. Why isn't it not pegged to GDP? And what will give us the guardrails for public sector to say to you, I need this amount of increase? What is that guardrail, given that it's not pegged to the GDP?
Right, so the guardrail has to do with our entire budget, and we have 2 guardrails.
Okay.
The debt to GDP and what's called the fiscal balance.
Okay.
So our rules currently say that your fiscal balance must be X in order to keep us on that path towards getting to the 60% debt to GDP.
Okay.
And so everything has to be within that context. Yeah.
Okay, but some would say, Minister, and I want to commend the government, our debt to GDP has reduced significantly. I think we're at 68 and we're trending to be at 60, which is commendable,
Yes.
Given that we are at that place now, some will say, we're at a better place now, Minister. Why can't we free up some more monies now? You know, we have been holding strain for so many years. We need to have a little fun now. Why can't we have a little fun? Give us some more social programs. Give us something more, Minister. What will you say to persons who are saying something of that nature, given that we are improving in that area?
Right, and as we improve, you will see more in terms of social programs and so on.
Okay.
We're not averse, obviously, to ensuring that the population has what it is that they need, but our stance has been we have to be careful, you know, with the nation's resources and do what we can within the confines of the budget that we have.
Okay, fair enough. It was important. I watched on the budget presentation when you're given the good news. Yeah, good news number this, good news number that, good news, good news, good news. One of the other good news surrounded the GCT reduction on our light bills. Well, the ordinary Jamaicans, how will that work? Will I see, come May, will I see my light bill going down if I maintain my usage? Is that how it will be translated to the average and ordinary Jamaican?
Right. So if you maintain your usage, you should see a decline in your light bill.
Okay, because of the
That's
reduction in the
right,
GCT.
because of the reduction. But the part of it that's really exciting for me is the introduction of a new product to the market by the JPS, which is a prepaid.
But isn't there a prepaid option there already now?
Yeah, there is, but it's not as widespread as it should be, and it didn't come with what we came with in terms of helping persons, to get on to that prepaid system so that they, they can have access to electricity. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I want to jump a little bit from there. You mentioned some benefits through the SLB.
Yes.
For young persons or persons who are going back to school, and I'm a big advocate for education. Go to school, get an education, get a skill, whatever the case is. But what are some of the other perks? I know you mentioned it's not only for tuition.
Right.
Persons
so
are now able
I want to do
that.
a big overhaul of student loan. Right now, you just borrow it for tuition. That's it. That's the only thing you can do with the loan that you get from student loan. And we're saying you should be able to do more than just pay for tuition with the loan that you get from student loan. So we'll make it possible for you to get enough so that you can pay towards your living.
Yes.
You're able to buy a laptop, and you're able to take care of your meals. That's our aim, that's our goal. I indicated that we need to put in the systems in place in order to handle that. So that's why we had to look out into 2026, the new school year in 2026. So between now and then, we should be able to put the systems in place to accommodate that, give you a much longer period over which to pay the loan, and bring down the interest rates.
I was about to say that, Minister.
Bring down the interest rates.
Because I know the focus was on a longer tenure.
Yeah.
And I know that with a longer tenure comes with more interest payments.
Yes.
So my question was about to be...
According to your business.
According to my business, okay.
But this is government saying to our students, we love when you go to tertiary, because that means, the quality of our workforce will be elevated, and we are going to ensure that while you're going to a tertiary institution, that we try to make life as comfortable for you as possible. Yes, at the end of it, you're going to have to pay back the loan, but we are going to make it easier for you to pay it back.
And just to confirm, you did mention that we will look at maybe revising of the interest rate, reduction of the interest rate.
Longer tenure, reduction of the interest rate, allow you to do more with the funds that you borrow.
That's important.
Yes.
What about online access for persons who want to get statements from the SLB? Young persons,
right now,
I have had interactions with the SLB to get your statement. It's like I'm fighting to get it. I want to pay.
Because they don't have the systems in place. They have been working on it for some time. I am assured that within the next couple of months, the new system should be ready, and students will be able to access their loan balance and other information. So that's going to be great. But then we are going to go even further than that with, new loan products for students.
We're coming up with new loan products as well.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that, because I know many young persons who are going back to school, who may not have anything at all. They want to advance their career, want to advance themselves through education. They need that access, Minister.
Yes,
they need that support.
They
need that.
do.
And I'm glad that the government is taking steps in that direction to ensure that we have our young persons, going in a positive way, a positive light. I am big, Minister, on small businesses. I think small businesses are the lifeblood of any economy, because we need private sector, we need small businesses. You mentioned that through the DBJ, some funding will be available. I overheard some small business person say, yes, man, the bank them no one give you a loan, and we're glad the government will give you a grant through the DBJ. And I wanted to find out from you, how does this work? Are you giving a grant to DBJ? Is that a loan? Will you have to pay it back? Or persons watching, can say
it's the funds to DBJ are for them to unlend to MSME through their many affiliated entities. I know DBJ does give some grants, but the bulk of the $2 billion that they will receive will go towards loans.
So in essence, it is a
loan.
It is a loan.
Yes.
So when I was watching this morning, you're getting a loan from the DBJ. It's not a grant, it's a free money. So we want to. It's an election year, and some persons may have been expecting, because we have become so used to minister getting. Gone are days when we were giving, we're expecting to be getting. Do you think that the government could have done something else or anything else so that the ordinary Jamaicans, because persons are still saying, I mean, I really feel it on the ground right now. Do you think that there was anything else that the government could have focused on through your budget presentation to impact ordinary Jamaicans some more, or you think that you exhausted that and you were comfortable with what it was presenting?
Okay, well, you know, as I was thinking about the budget and thinking about what to say in Parliament, I thought, let me go through all the different sectors of the economy and see if there's something in this budget for them. And at the end of the day, there is something in the budget for, I wouldn't say every sector or every person, but we tried to make sure we maximize on you know, what is available to Jamaicans.
Okay. You had mentioned as well something concerning insurance.
Yes, micro-insurance.
Yes, and I thought that was something innovative in my mind, or something that we didn't have before. Any details on that that you can share?
Yes, so that requires legislation in order to bring, for entities like yourself, to bring that product to market. My commitment is to get that legislation done because when you look at the cost of traditional insurance, it is high for most people. So we want to create a product that they can afford and that gives them protection against, you know, if there's illness, death, other types of insurance. We do have micro insurance in Jamaica right now, but it's primarily for farmers.
Farmers, yes.
Yes, I think a year or so ago, Minister Green had announced it, but we want to expand what is available. There are many, many countries in the world that have micro insurance legislation.
Okay, so
and yes. And you have to mention the micro market as well.
Well, that was my next question. I was excited about that. I told you earlier that small business is an area that I'm passionate about. And with the micro stock exchange that you mentioned, I think that will allow smaller businesses to have access to equity capital. But talk to me about that. What is the thought process? What went into that process to think up, you know, I want to impact this area? The small business area.
I stay close to the stock market, and the general manager spoke to me about it and the need that exists. She says, you know, by their survey, about 250 companies are out there that in that 10 million to 50 million range. They're not yet at the level where they can go to the junior market. They still need some help, guidance. So the micro market would be available to those companies for them to grow legs so that they can, you know, graduate
and go
to the junior market. Yes.
I like that. I really do like that. But I threw out a poll on my social media and I said to the average person, what would you want to ask the Minister of Finance this morning? If you had a chance to ask the question, what would you ask? And one viewer said, ask the Minister for me, will we ever be at a place, Minister, while we're still collecting income tax, to file for a return or tax returns here in Jamaica? My income tax is X amount. It's a lot from my salary. Will I ever be able to file for some income tax return here in Jamaica?
Well, that happened in this fiscal year. Yes, the reverse income tax credit. You had to,
Annually, I am able, because that had guardian, that had some areas that I could not get it back. The average person with income tax, will we come to a point where we can go and apply for our tax return outside of that window that you was created last year?
Okay, you mean the reverse income tax credit last year. That would have to be a consideration because it would be a totally new regime. One like what happens in the U.S. and you know, in the U.S. you know you have all kinds of deductions that you can do against your income. But remember, we are moving down a path where we love to eventually see the elimination of personal income tax. Right? Yes.
I am waiting on that. Minister, I am waiting on that. I'm sure many persons watching this morning, they are waiting.
Okay. Remember I'm saying we're moving down the path.
You're moving. So you're doing it this year, but you're moving down the path. And I appreciate hearing that. I'll wrap up with this question. With all the strategies that have been put in place, with all the things that you have mentioned earlier, and where do you want to see the country going? With what you have stated that you will implement, where do you see Jamaica going in another 3 years? If we stay on this path that you're putting the country on, following in your predecessor, you're going forward, trying to be fiscally disciplined, where do you see this country going if you remain the path?
So the first thing would be for us to get to that 60% and below debt to GDP. And the significance of that is it would impact our credit rating. And you should know, if we get an improved credit rating, that means, you know, better terms for us. Our interest rate environment can be much lower and so on. So that is a big goal as we look down the road. Obviously, we will also want to see more robust economic growth, because that would mean more for everybody in Jamaica. So start, you know, when I look at the initiatives that we put forward, they're growth inducing. So the accelerated capital allowance for business, ensuring that they're loan funding for the small business who, when you look at where the jobs are, it's in that sector. Yes. You know, making sure people have a little bit more to spend in terms of raising the threshold, and so on. So, yeah.
Okay, so enough. And as you said, I wish that we had more time to speak with the minister this morning. But the Honorable Minister, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
For being here with us this morning on Sunrise. It has been a pleasure. And I wish you all the very best as you continue to build on what is already there and to improve. And that the ordinary Jamaicans like myself and persons who are watching this morning can feel the impact even more. The money that we're getting back may not be able to do much now, but over time, if we are disciplined, as what you are promoting with the budget, we are able to do better to reap the rewards of what is coming from your administration. Thank you so very much.
Thank you
for being with us this morning, and all the very best.
Thanks.
Thank you so very much. Money Masterclass is brought to you this morning by Jane Bank, and TK is on standby with the news, so stay with us. It was a pleasure having you here this morning, Minister. Thank you very much.